Somebody to get even, you know? We always say get even, but that's a lie, right? If somebody hurts you here, what's getting even? Like hurting them here, right? Like you got to one-up them because you got to teach them, you don't mess with me. And then if you're in a situation where now this guy's hurt, what happens now? That guy then tries to get even and one-ups you, and this constant battle back and forth, and then it gets really nasty. You know, that gets really nasty. Hopefully you guys know what I'm talking about. When I was a kid, that one-up thing I used to do was the Yo Mama jokes. When those came out, right? So one kid said somebody made fun of your lunchbox, or somebody made fun of your shoes from, getting your shoes from Payless or something like that, instead of having Nike, having that generic, Nike. It's a little different. It's not exactly the swoosh, but something else. And so if they made fun of you, well, you can always pull that card up. Well, I don't care about my shoes. Yo mama's so ugly. And then we're like, okay, here we go, right? And then there's the only counter to a yo mama joke is a better yo mama joke that no one's heard about, right? If you throw a generic one, everybody's like, oh, boo, it's lame. And so you got to counter the yo mama's so ugly with, yo mama's so fat. And then bring them with, nah, your mama's so old. And you got to try to, one-up each other. That's just getting even, right? That's just how we are. That's little kid stuff. That's, if we don't learn any better, we're still like that. We're still like that now. But you can, next slide, please. But that's the choice you make, right? That's the choice you make. When somebody cuts you, when somebody hurts you, you got to make a decision. You got to either fight back. A lot of people like to do that one and fight back and get angry and get even because they feel like they've made justice. Somebody hurt me, so I'm going to hurt you back, and now we're even. Like, I just, justice has occurred, right? That's how we like that. We like to be in control. We like to have that power. It's hard to do the other one. It's hard to be able to forgive, especially people that maybe you don't know, or actually, it'll probably be even harder to forgive someone that you do love because that's so real close for them to do something, and then it's hard to forgive sometimes, I don't know if you've ever been in that situation before. It's hard to forgive. But that's, there's different consequences, and there's pros and cons to both. Can you put the next slide, please? You got to make that choice, so all of us make a choice. And there's actually one story where Jesus talks about forgiveness, and here he talks about the king and the servant, but we're going to try to make it in modern terms. We're going to call this one the bookie and the gambler. All right, so this is a story that Jesus said to the disciples when they were talking about, look, Paul said, no, it was Peter, I'm sorry. Peter said, look, if my brother, okay, if anybody hurts me, because Jesus told them, look, you got to love God first, and you got to love your brother. You got to love everybody, okay, everybody. And Jesus said, it's not just your friends, because that's easy to love your friends. It's hard to love your enemies. And I challenge you, love your enemies. So Peter said, all right, well, look, what if my brother, anybody hurts me? How many times do I got to forgive him? Just 7 times? Just a couple times like that? And that's when Jesus said that whole, 70 times 7. Trying to give him this exaggerated number. Is like, you got to keep on forgiving. And then he goes to this story. Let me tell you the story. And Jesus says, all right, well, I'm going to use, instead of the king, and I'm going to use Frankie the fish, the bookie, with Cool Man Luke, the gambler. That's Cool Man Luke. He has a problem. Okay, he has a gambling problem. He just loves it. Any sport, he'll gamble on whatever, TV shows, whatnot, the news, what comes up to me in the news. But sports was his weak part. And he was racking up this massive debt, big time debt. So he goes to Frankie the fish, and he's looking, look, I guarantee I'll make this one bet right here and put it all on the line. Okay? And he knows it. If he wins this, not only is he going to have all this money to be able to pay off his debts, he's going to have some on the side for him and his family. So he goes, all right, I'm willing to make this bet. Let's do this. Okay, Frankie the fish, I got it. I'm good for it. He's lying, of course, because he's broke. He got no money. So he goes, all right. Frankie the fish takes him on his offer. Cool Man Luke bets the Colts are going to win the Super Bowl this last year. So what happens? Obviously, the Saints won. So now Cool Man Luke's stuck with this massive $10 million debt that now Frankie the fish, he has to owe to Frankie the fish. He doesn't know what he's going to do. He's freaking out because he knows that you don't mess with Frankie the fish. And he thought it was gold. And it's Peyton Manning. How am I not going to lose? He lost because Drew Brees was on the other side, right? And so now Frankie the fish goes and calls up his boys. Go get Cool Man and bring him over here. So Cool Man shows up. He takes off those glasses, those ridiculous glasses, and he's nervous. He doesn't know what to do. Frankie the fish looks at him and is like, where's my money? Where's my money? Cool Man's like, look, Frank, I'm sorry. I don't got it. I thought this was gold, and I thought this was for sure. I can't pay you back your $10 million. All I make is like $20,000 a year, as a janitor. I can't do this. I'm never going to pay you back. Just please, I'm sorry. Forgive me. He's freaking out. And he's real nervous and scared, and then Frankie the fish started looking at him. And I'm like, tell me why right now I shouldn't break your kneecaps. And I was like, no, please, I got a family. I got 4 kids, and then they're all like real little. And if you break my kneecaps, I can't go to work. And my wife, she's sick. She can't work. And, we're going to die. And we don't have money and blah, 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 blah. So when Frankie Fish just looks at him, I think he felt sorry for him because he had that stupid mustache. But he looks at Frankie Fish, and Frankie looks at him and was like, all right, okay, wait. I've met your kids before. They're nice. Wife's nice. You know what? I feel bad for you, okay? You got a problem. I'll let you know right now. I feel bad for you. Tell you what, that whole $10 million, don't worry about it. Just let it go. I'm going to let it go. And he can't believe it. He was like, you serious? And so he's like, kissing his feet, kissing his little Godfather ring that he got. And like, thank you so much. He's like, look, just one condition though, man. You got to stop with this. No more gambling. You don't gamble anymore, debt's paid, no problem. So he left with the biggest smile on his face. I'm like, oh my gosh, that was so close. Really thought he was going to die. He really thought he was going to die. So he's walking out. He's feeling good, on top of the world, chest out. Put his glasses back on. He's chest out, loving it, walking down the street. Now he sees Johnny on the corner. And now Johnny, about 2 weeks ago, Luke lent Johnny about $5 so he can get pizza at the little pizza shop. And so he said, no, I'll pay you back. That's what he told Luke. So I said, okay. So 2 weeks later, that's when, he just left Frankie the Fish's office, walks up, sees Johnny. He goes, Johnny, bro, where my $5? I was like, Luke, man, I don't got it. I don't got $5. I'm like, what you talking about? You don't got $5? Give me my $5, man. I lent you 2 weeks ago. You should pay me back. I'm like, no. I don't got it. Look, I get paid next week. Just chill. I'll get you your money next week. And then that's when Luke goes off. And I don't know if he had a lollipop in his hand or not, but he went off, and then he just beat down Johnny for owing him those $5 to try to teach him a lesson on not being, not paying him back. So he took him down so bad that he had to go to the hospital. Now, not good for Luke that some of Frankie's boys were on the corner, and they saw what was going down. They saw what happened. And so now they go back to Frankie Fish. I'm like, you're not going to believe this, okay? You remember that guy that you just let off just about 20 minutes ago with that $10 million debt that he owed you? I was like, yeah, so? I was like, man, we just saw him beating down this guy for owing him $5. And so Frankie put his cigar down, and I was like, nah, I'm not going to handle this. Go get him. So they went, and they got him. They brought him back, and he doesn't know what's going on. He's like, hey, Frankie, what's up, man? He tried to give him, high five. How you doing? And, thought it was boys. I was like, what'd you do to that guy? That's when he got real cold. I'm like, what? What guy? What are we talking about? It's like, that guy, my boys were just around the corner when they saw you beat down that guy for owing you $5. And he's so scared, no words are coming out of his mouth anymore. He doesn't know what to say. So Frankie says, I paid off your $10 million debt, and you can't let somebody else live just for $5? That's it, man. And so his boys, Frankie's boys, went out and gave cool man twice the beating that they gave Johnny and sent him to the hospital too. So Jesus had the story, again, with the king and the servant. And he was trying to compare, us and God. Now, in this situation, I know it's weird. God's the bookie, but he's not really, he doesn't look like that, okay? God's the bookie in the story. He's the king. And he's the one that, we have, and we're the servant, we're cool man, that we owe this massive debt that if we tried to, for eternity, we would never be able to pay it off. We would never be able to pay it off. And God, in his love, said, you know what? I sent my son to pay your debt for you. The one that is impossible, the one that you'll never be able to pay off, right? Because of who we are and our sin. My son will pay that off. And now it's up to us, because the Bible says that you forgive as God forgave you. And so if God has forgiven us all these things, how can we not forgive what others do to us? And look, I don't care what you'll tell me, okay? I don't care how badly somebody hurts you. It is never going to compare to what we have done to God. And so that's what Jesus is saying. It's like, look, I have forgiven more than you will ever need to forgive. So you need to forgive each other. You need to forgive other people. Can you put the next slide, please? So here, there's a few things that when you don't forgive and when you hold this unforgiveness in your heart and you choose to fight back or bottle it up or do stuff like that, this is the Bible. I'm not just making stuff up. I just did a quick list here. It actually says in 2 Corinthians that it gives the advantage to Satan when you don't forgive somebody, right? Just think about that house, right? And so when you choose to not to forgive someone else, that affects your relationship with God. And now you end up outside of this house where now the devil can get to you, okay? You ever had trash and you put outside your house at night? I did this like once and I forgot. And raccoons went all up in it, all right? And just made a whole mess. I had to pick it up. That's like that.